Well, hello there, everybody, and welcome to the What's the Quack podcast, brought to you by your host, Ducky. Oh, silly intros. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're all doing fantastic. Me, I'm not doing too bad. I know it's been a while since I've done one of these. It's been a few weeks. It's been a minute. But yeah, I have a very good reason. I really wasn't fucked. I don't know. I just gotta hit a real lazy moment in my life. We all get them. I'm sure you guys get them. I get them as well. Where you get a few days where you can't be fucked. And you don't try as you might. You might look as hard as you can for a fuck, but a fuck can't be found. So I just didn't bother doing a whole pile of anything. What really happened was I got really late with my last video, the school stories. And I'd meant to do a lot more podcasts in the meantime, but as my main focus is the main channel, I let the podcast somewhat take a backseat while I, knuckled down and got that done. But I'm somewhat back on top of things now, thankfully. Back doing a solo podcast today for those of you who like a bit of a one-on-one big D action. Want some big D in your life? Well, I'm the D for you. Just roll up, open up, let me in. Don't really know where I'm going with this. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. It's good to be back one-on-one, very intimate, talking to you lads today. I've got some good news today. My last podcast when I did solo, I opened it up with some bad news and I went tearing YouTube a new one, like I always do, because YouTube has this habit of making creators' lives very, very miserable. And they like to blindside you with it as well. They don't like to let you know. They just like to wake you up one morning to a big lump of bad news, which is never ideal. When you don't expect it, it's always going to make you a bit more angry. Sorry about my voice today as well. Had a lot of trouble sleeping last night. So, if you ever just get one of them nights where you just lie down in bed, it was like 2 o'clock, which is really early for me. And I had actually been making a habit over the last few days of going to bed early because I had a bit of a stomach bug and whatnot. So I was just sleeping through the nausea. But I managed to get in the habit of going to bed a bit earlier. Which is nice because I find myself a bit more active earlier in the morning. Years of retail has kind of conditioned me into a bit more active first thing in the morning. But I got into bed last night at 2 a.m. and I just fucking lid there. I was tossing and turning and not even the good kind of tossing either. The tossing in the bed doesn't really explain it better, but I was tossing and turning in the bed and I just could not for the life of me get comfortable or get sleepy or anything. And so the last time I checked my phone, the time it was like 3:45 in the morning. And I think I dozed off a little bit after that, but yeah, I fucking hate them nights. And I woke up at, it's maybe about 10. I didn't get enough sleep anyway, and I've just been groggy all day. My voice has been a bit hoarse. It's a word, but it's not fully there, so you're just gonna have to bear with me. But anyway, on to the good news of YouTube. Yeah, so it starts off with a bit of bad news, which is quite funny. Randomly, one of the days during the week, I don't know if I was bitching about this in my lab. I'm not sure if I explained this or not, but all in the 1 week, a load of my videos got age restricted. They got hit with this video can't be viewed by anybody under 18, which made me very angry because my videos are the risky comedy, but there's nothing in them that would be offensive to somebody under the age. It'd be kind of skirting the lines, that kind of way. It would be, I make the odd dark joke or the sexual reference, but it's all very light-hearted. Like I can go deep and I can go dark, and my videos are not that. I like keeping them light and stuff. So yeah, they are a bit risky, but by no means are they fucking age restriction worthy. But one of my favourite videos I've ever made got hit with an age restriction, and that was the video The Fart That Ruined the Romance. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen that. That's the one where me and the missus go away to a hotel for a couple of nights, and I fucking shake the entire hotel with a bellowing fart. But it was one of my favourite videos, always has been, because it was my first dabble into more story orientated videos and kind of almost like a comedy routine, if you will. So yeah, it's definitely one of my favourites. Now I got hit with an age restriction and that pissed me off. One of my favourite videos getting hit with an age restriction. Now, it had already been demonetised. It got demonetised years ago. It was like a couple of months after I released it, it got demonetised. And that was fine. I made my peace with that. Actually, no, I think it got demonetised upon release. I don't know. I can't quite remember. Yeah, but it was demonetised, but it wasn't age restricted, so I was okay with that because people could still see it and there was less of a barrier between people. But now that it was age restricted, I was fucking furious. So I had the option to appeal it. So I appealed it, and you have to put in the comments boxes why do you think this video this video getting age restricted was a mistake? So I filled it out. But at this stage, I think this was like my third video I was appealing in the same week, so I was just so utterly defeated in my appeal. I wrote something along the lines of saying, look, I don't have an agenda. I'm not out here trying to start movements. I just want to make people laugh. I just want to make people's day a bit brighter for 10 minutes. And I self-censor. There's nothing in these videos. I don't show anything. And I don't delve too deep into any one thing to the point where a child or more specifically, a parent of a child would be too angry to see it. It's all very tongue-in-cheek, just mentions. I allude to a lot of things, but I never show anything, that could be seen harmful to a child or anything. And I wrote this big spiel on the appeal, and you could definitely tell by the tones and the way I spoke, and I was just so defeated and so bet down by the hammer of YouTube. But a wonderful thing happened. Maybe a day and a half later, I got an email from YouTube saying that the age restriction was removed from the video, so it was back to normal. But they did one better. I don't know, whatever employee that works at YouTube, if you're out there and you've read this, I'd like to thank you for this. Not only did they remove the age restriction, but they turned the ads back on the video. So it's fully monetized and it's got no age restriction. So that was the best news I think I've ever gotten off of YouTube since I became a YouTuber. One of my favorite videos is now fully monetized. It's not been suppressed. The views are not being suppressed. It's not age restricted. It's fantastic. And I like to think that the one YouTube employee that was in charge of reading my appeal could just tell how downtrodden and walked on I was, how fucking just utterly defeated I was, and just felt so bad for me. Just went, you know what, buddy, this time I'm going to give you a pass this time. Here you go. So, so that's a bit of good news. My favorite video I've ever made is now fully monetized and not age restriction. I did have a couple of videos that still got an age restriction, but they were kind of older videos that I don't care too much about nowadays. It's crazy the way the world is going. It's not even just YouTube. It's just the culture in general. If you could allow me to talk a bit about kind of cancel culture and stuff like that for a while, I'm going to do that. This podcast is going to be less questions orientated. I'm just going to ramble, and we'll see where the conversation goes. But I was watching Kevin Hart's special on Netflix last night. There was a Zero Fucks Given, something like that. It was like a comedy special where Kevin Hart, he goes a bit harder than what he usually does in his comedy. Now, as somebody who's dabbled in all varieties in comedy, I like comedy in all shapes and sizes, I still found it quite tame, to be quite honest. He didn't really go too over the top. He talked about midgets and, made a joke about people who only have one arm, and it wasn't an offensive joke. It was just kind of a joke referencing only having one arm. It was pretty tame. But I remember seeing him on Joe Rogan. It was last year or something like that, and I was watching that, and it was after the whole the controversy with the Oscars. If none of you are kind of caught up with that, what happened was Kevin Hart was asked to host the Oscars, was it a year or so back? And a load of people got very angry because they dug up his past, as people fucking usually do nowadays, because they're not better to be doing with their fucking time. I don't know what these fucking people are doing. They're just sitting at home kind of going, oh, let me ruin this man's career. I don't know. I don't know the mindset behind it, but a lot of people decided to look into Kevin Hart's past and try find some risky jokes. And sure enough, they did. He's a comic. He does have, he will have his fair share of risky jokes. And he made some joke about, I don't know if it's if his son was gay, that he'd beat him with a dollhouse or something like that. I don't know, some throwaway joke from 8 years ago. This was fucking, ancient history at this point. And people brought this joke up and they're like, how dare you? And, we demand an apology. Usual fucking cancel culture shit. We don't want him hosting the Oscars, blah, blah, blah. So, Kevin Hart, the worst thing you could possibly ever do in that situation, and I will stand by this till my dying day, the worst thing you could ever do in the face of people trying to cancel you over comedy is apologize. That is a fucking death sentence to your career. That will ruin you. And apologizing it shows weakness to these people, these fucking angry fucking pitchfork grabbing cunts that have nothing better to be doing with their time. It shows weakness to them, and if you kind of apologize to them, that's blood in the water to sharks is what that is. They can smell that, and that's never going to be enough. The apology is not going to be enough. Once they get one apology, they want more and more. They want to ruin you. They can see you're weak and fragile, and they can tear you down. They can see they're getting to you when they see you apologize. It's people don't go to Dave Chappelle demanding apologies. They don't go to Ricky Gervais demanding apologies. Because Dave Chappelle and Ricky Gervais would just tell him to fuck off. There's no satisfaction in chasing Ricky Gervais or Dave Chappelle because they're just going to be told fuck off. And people would only wait for so long for an apology for somebody. And if they're not going to get one, they're just going to fuck off and move on to somebody else. But Kevin Hart didn't tell him to fuck off. Kevin Hart apologised. And sure enough, it didn't fucking stop. He was on the Joe Rogan show anyway, and he was talking about how he apologized about all this with the Oscars and stuff like that, and people were still chasing him, still demanding apologies, and how the LGBT community and all this kind of stuff were constantly on his back. And as I was watching that, I was like, yeah, of course they're going to be on your back. They're not looking for an apology. They're looking for like gratification. Apology is never going to be enough. And the worst thing you can do is even give it to them. You can be sorry, but the worst thing you can do is say you're fucking sorry to them people anyway, at least. In your day-to-day life, if you've done something wrong, apologize for it, stand up, own your mistakes. But don't fucking do it to a mob, especially like cancel culture. That's the worst thing you can do. Yeah, so he was on Joe Rogan. He was talking about how cancel culture and how people were chasing him and how he apologized a million times, but people were still demanding apologies and saying it's not good enough, you should try support our movement and blah, blah, blah. Usual bollocksology. That interview popped into my head when I was watching his Zero Fucks Given show, because he's kind of done a 180 where he's like, he used to be of the mindset of like, I'll apologize and, show these people that I understand their plight and I sympathize with their plights and stuff like that. But now he's released this Netflix special where he's just like, yeah, tried that. It doesn't work. Fuck that. I'm not apologizing. I'm not sorry. I'm not giving a fuck. 0 fucks are now given from this point on. And I just found that hilarious that, like, that's just an example of somebody learning the hard way why you do not apologize for a joke. The one thing I'll always stand by, I'll apologize for a bad joke, but I'll never apologize for an offensive joke. That's the way I kind of stand by things. If I make a bad joke, I will stand by it and say, yeah, you know what? That was a pretty piss poor joke. Not every one of my jokes are going to be golden nuggets. There's trial and error behind everything, and not everything I shit out will be the fucking holy grail of humour. There's a lot of misfires in that. So I will happily throw my hands up, and I often do when I'm shy talking with my mates, blurt out a fucking awful joke, and everybody just laughs at how bad it was. I'll apologise for that, but I will never apologise if a joke is funny but it's offensive. I will not. No, jokes have to have a victim. That's the only reason why they're funny. It's like, a knock-knock joke has a victim. It's the person who's answering the door because they've been made a fool of. So, think of any joke in history it's always got to have a victim. That's just the nature of comedy. There needs to be a target to be kind of fired upon it in a way. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it more in like there's got to be a butt to the joke. But that doesn't mean that it's immediately offensive or it's supposed to be taken up the wrong way. No, how you take a joke is completely on you. There's an old phrase, it's offence is not given, it's taken. If you take offence to something, chances are that's on you. If it's outside the realms of comedy, by all means, if somebody's trying to be a dick to you, yeah, you can be offended at that. But if you're sitting in a comedy setting and somebody makes a joke that rubs you up the wrong way, then, maybe a comedy setting isn't a place for you to be. Maybe you're just not the kind of funny person that you think you are, or maybe you're not the person who can take a joke as well as you thought you could. Because I've had countless people make jokes at me and towards me and aimed at me, and I will happily laugh along with them. Some of my best interactions with people have just been slagging matches where I'm just taking the piss out of them and they're taking the piss out of me. If you're a bloke especially, I find if you're in a group of mates, a group of male mates, I feel like that's like the nature of the game is you'll have 6 or 7 lads just sitting there and there will be just insult after insult being thrown around the room, and it's all in jest, it's all in good fun, and they could be like fucking cutting insults. It'd be like you have a mate who's like self-conscious about his height. Well, that's fucking, it's open season on that if a slagging match kicks off. I feel like doing that kind of stuff with lads is a great way to kind of desensitize you to being offended about particular things. And I think a lot of people in this world who get offended by comedy are people who have just been too sheltered, and they've been surrounded by people that are too afraid to kind of take kind of like in jest jabs at their insecurities and stuff. And if you don't have friends that take the piss out of your insecurities, then are they really your friends? You need those kind of friends. You need the kind of friend that if you're going through a bad breakup and you're a bit shook from it, and you're down the dumps and you're not in a good headspace, you need a friend to come up to you and say to you, maybe you are just fucking dreadful and you'll die alone. At least that kind of shock humor will snap you out of it and make you feel like they know what you're going through, stuff like that. I don't know, I'm kind of talking a lot of shit, but I feel like a lot of you guys will know what I mean. It's just the way the world has gone lately. It's just everybody's a bit soft. Like people often ask me online, or at least say to me, to compare me to being like a masculine dude, and I suppose I am to a degree if I was to measure it all, but I never felt like a masculine dude until we got into the 2010s, and I realised that the kind of guy I am and the kind of friends I have and, the kind of my male group and all that, we're almost like a fucking dying breed nowadays. You just don't get that kind of like hard personality anymore. It's not even hard personality. I'd call mine a regular personality, but in today's standards, it seems like we're some fucking hard cunts when you see the amount of shit people get offended by these days. But I suppose the world is just going like that. It's getting very soft, and I don't know, maybe it's just me. It's getting very fucking stupid as well. Oh my God. I clicked onto Facebook there yesterday, you know, my once a week Facebook checkup. Because I've lost so much interest in Facebook over the last few years. I don't know if you guys find this, if any of you still use Facebook or whatnot, but Facebook for me is a place where all my same age generation go to hang out. But even though they're the same age as me, they feel like they're about fucking 40 years older than me. Every one of my mates, like people I've went to school with, I feel like they're fucking 40 and 50 years older than me at this stage. And you find them grouped on Facebook. I feel like Facebook is just become like where old people hang out now, and it's it's kind of sad. But yeah, I don't even feel at home on Facebook anymore. I feel like even though I'm 31, I feel too young for Facebook. That's how shitty it's gone. But one of the reasons I hate it is I came across this post on my like newsfeed as I was just scrolling, and it was private airlines have decided to refuse to allow anti-vaxxers to travel on their planes once a vaccine's introduced for COVID. And if I took that idea and I presented it to my friends, you know, or you know, my acquaintances, or, you know, people I know in the real world, not on the internet, and if I said that to them in a big group and I said, listen, this airline, Ryan Quare, has decided to say that they're not letting anti-vaxxers on board due to safety, and they're not allowing anti-vaxxers to fly anywhere. Almost every one of my friends and acquaintances in real life would say, yeah, that's fair enough. I completely understand that. Yeah, that makes complete sense. Yeah, you don't want, you know, people who are not vaccinated towards illnesses to be flying with you. No, obviously within reason. You know, if you have an allergy or a health condition that can't be where you can't get vaccinated, that's fair enough. But I'm talking about more about people who have decided they're doing this by choice. But if I said that to a group of friends or acquaintances in real life, everybody would be just like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Even I'm saying it to you guys right now. I'm sure a lot of you guys would say, yeah, that's fair enough. Like, you know, that makes complete sense. You don't want people, you know, transmitting diseases internationally, or you know, exposing people who can't get vaccines even though they want to. You don't want them being exposed to other people who have chosen not to get a vaccine. But when I came across this post on Facebook, I clicked onto the comments, kind of expecting, of course, my innocent heart, but kind of expected a similar reaction where a load of people would be just like, yeah, of course. Well, why wouldn't they do that? But no, it was just comment after comment of people going, well, that's not fucking disgraceful. Oh, that's fucking horrible. Oh, bastards, how can you do this? Oh, the world's gone to shit. How dare they? And I was just like, you know, it's kind of one of the moments where you put your fucking face in your hands and you're just like, oh my fucking God. And there was people I knew commenting on this as well, which just made it even more painful. And it was just like, they have no right. But they fucking do, though. They do have the right to do this. A private company does have the right to do this. They have the right to do this because you have the right not to get a vaccine. It's the same fucking thing they're exercising. You know, if you want the freedom to do shit, that doesn't mean only you get that. Everybody gets that. And you have to respect other people's freedoms and their choices as well. And if you choose not to get a vaccine and somebody else decides to not, you know, to e-commerce with you, to provide you with a service because of your choice, then that's tough shit. That's your tough shit. That's what your choice led you to do. Like, you know, you're arguing on the same grounds that they're arguing on then. And it's just, it'll make you lose a lot of faith in humanity, that kind of shit. That's partly why one reason I don't go on Facebook anymore, because it's full of fucking absolute morons. Such fucking idiots. I'll tell you a story a bit more intimate to this. It's because Facebook is so like riddled with like anti-vaxxers and, you know, 5G is the devil and coronavirus is fake. It's a fake disease in order to sell face masks by big pharma or whatever fucking other bollocksology they're fucking shilling these days. It's just so overrun with those type of people nowadays. It's just become, it's not even a social media platform. It's a platform for people to sit in an echo chamber and just shout their own ideas forward and back at each other and at people who will never argue back. And the people that do argue back, you know, they'll just use the same fucking repeated phrase every time. It's just like, oh, you know, open your eyes, or, you know, you're just a sheep, or not actual debates, just, you know, throwaway lines just to stop you arguing back because they're not fucking prepared to argue back. But but the more intimate story is I have a cousin. She's one of these, like, fucking anti-vaxxers. Coronavirus is a conspiracy to to allow the lizard people to walk up here again, and just no such thing as space. We all live on the back of a velociraptor. All this kind of fucking nonsense. Everything. It's not just one thing that she's focusing on. I could understand if somebody came to me and said, look, I'm an anti-vaxxer because, and threw down some research papers and said this, and this, these research papers by these scientists say that vaccines do show a link to this, that, and the other. I could listen to that and I can kind of go, okay, I can see your argument. You presented evidence. I'm not talking to a fucking nut job. What you come across these people on Facebook is it's not just one thing. If they're an anti-vaxxer, they're also a fucking conspiracy theorist, and every single thing else, everything is a fucking conspiracy theory. It is ridiculous, the lengths and breadths that these people go. But I have this cousin of mine, and she's into all of this mental fucking shit. She's only short of wearing tinfoil on her head and walking around like she's popcorn. Like, it's ridiculous. But the thing that made me laugh about her is I found her Twitter one day, and her Twitter, I forget her main handle, but before it says Professor such and such. And, this did me an injury because she's a professor in around about the same way that I am Wesley Snipes' blacker brother. She learned everything she knows from Facebook. She's not third level educated whatsoever. She's never been to college, university, anything like that. And if she was, it was never for anything relevant to what she's believing in. And just that thing made me laugh alone, that like on her Twitter, when she's sharing all these mental fucking stories that are not one bit researched, and she's hearing them from third and fourth account sources and stuff. And she's just retweeting this shit like mad and trying to argue with people online. And it is fucking mental. And just seeing that level of crazy is just fucking frightening. So the world is fucked up. But yeah, that was just my first-hand account, because I've debated a lot of people online. I have strong opinions on common sense, I suppose. But and a lot of people tend to argue with me online and stuff. And you always have that people. Well, I'm a qualified such and such. I am qualified. I know what I'm talking about. And just seeing my cousin having her name down as Professor so on and so forth on Twitter, and knowing firsthand that she's no more educated on any of these topics than I am educated on the ability to build a rocket, it just made me laugh and, feel a little bit sad inside as well. Because she's not the only person. I have an aunt as well who's big into that, and it's just, it's like I don't know, it exposes a lack of anything with substance in their lives, maybe. I don't know. It does make me more sad than it does angry, because I'm just like, are you really just sitting home every day of your life just reading conspiracy theory and bullshit story and fake news after fake news on Facebook and just believing every single thing you see and becoming angry and spreading the word on this and, sharing it, retweeting it, liking it, and just, are you doing this all day? Is this your life? Do you feel like you're changing the world by clicking a few buttons? You're not. You're not doing a fucking tap. And if anything, it's just really fucking sad. You need to get a hobby, get an interest, find a goal in life and chase that. Don't just sit at home all day drinking a fucking bottle of wine and thinking you're changing the world. You're an activist because you clicked a few things on the screen. That's not how the fucking world works. And all you're doing is pissing people off, and you're not doing your research, and you're screaming into an echo chamber, because the people you're talking with are just people are more like you. They don't want to hear people who are disagreeing with them. They only want to hear people that agree with them. That's why these people can't fucking argue and debate, because they don't allow themselves to argue and debate. They're not getting trained in the ways of arguing and debating. I argue and debate all the time. Oh shit, I just got a fucking funny thought. I remember two of the guys called up to my house there one night at 2 a.m. Because thankfully I've made friends that are very similar to me, where they've fucking awful sleeping patterns, where they tend to be awake all night and, sleep the better part of the morning between 6 and 12. So they called up at it was about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. The missus was in bed and we're all just chilling in the living room, talking. And we got onto a debate. And the debate was, if you find a transsexual girl attractive, are you gay? And I mean, a transsexual girl, or maybe it's a transsexual man, I'm not sure. A she-male, a tranny, a transsexual. I don't know what the correct term is nowadays. If I offend people, I'm sorry. I'm not caught up on my trans lingo. But, a man who's semi-transitioned into a woman. So he's got the body and the tits, but he still has, he still has a tool instead of a toolbox, still has the plug instead of the socket, Yeah, we got onto that topic anyway. If you are, a normal straight man, you're interested in women, if you found a transsexual attractive, does that make you gay? And the reason why I talk about this in debating is because we debated about this for 4 fucking hours solid. It was 6 o'clock in the morning and we still did not come to a resolution. I think we knew we weren't coming to a resolution, and by the end we just kind of agreed that if you're interested in the cock part of it, then you're gay. And if not, there's just like weird grey area that gay and straight doesn't quite cover. You know? It's a strange one. Why don't you guys chime in the comments down below? What do you think as you know, as straight men? What do you think? Would you think finding a transsexual attractive, would that make you gay? I don't know if you guys had this. It was like, I remember way back when I was in school, it was like 3rd or 5th year or something like that. There was a couple of guys and they were going around with pictures on their phone of transsexual women. But what they did, they had them zoomed in so you could only see from like, the stomach up. And it was obviously, you glance and they're like, oh, what do you think of this girl here? And you look and you're like, oh, some tits. And when you're in 3rd year, you'll take what tits you can get. And you look at them and you're like, fucking wow, your one is class, man. She looks unbelievable. She's fantastic. And then he'd swipe. And it's a zoomed out picture and she's got a big fucking cock. And you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, no. Oh. Oh, fuck. I feel like everybody in school has gone through that at least once, where somebody's trying to catch him out with a she-male tranny. I don't know, again, I don't know what the correct term is. But yeah, I remember going through that when I was younger. It was fucking hilarious. But like, you could easily get fooled because there's some fucking trannies out there where you'd look at them from, the waist up and you're like, oh man, your one's class, and then boing, had a big fucking cock. But yeah, 4 hours we were debating to that, and we still didn't get to the end of it. But that's what I mean, the power of debating. You can debate and everything, but we didn't get to the end of that. But you certainly won't get to the end of anything if you're not willing to engage in debate with some people on occasion. There's a lesson to take away. Don't be afraid to talk to people with a differing point of view, because it's beneficial. So many people nowadays they're almost put off by people if they don't agree with them on every single thing in their life, which I think is mental. Like, me and my core group of friends, we don't agree on everything all the time. And some of our best and most interesting conversations have come out of disagreeing on different things. And, that's when you get to know somebody a little bit better. And like, the second we disagree on something, we're not kind of going, oh, get out of my life, fuck you. No, you can still be the greatest of friends with people and just, not agree on certain things. And the problem with the internet is just gives you so much choice. You have so much access to pretty much everybody in the earth that you can actually find people that you never disagree with, or at least come close to never disagreeing with. And people try to latch onto that. And I find very little value in that. I like to have friends that will friends and acquaintances that will challenge me on some aspect of, my ideals. I feel like over the years, it's made me a better person. When I was a younger man, when I was in my teens and maybe early 20s, stuff like that, there's some views I had back then that I would absolutely not agree with now, because I've been talked around by different people with different points of view, and they've shared their point of view with me, and I'd never taken the time to look at things like that, and I'm like, you know what, maybe you're right. I never thought of it. I never thought of looking at things that way, and that's a good way to grow as a person. Wow, I feel like this podcast is getting really heavy. Do you know what I'm going to do before I transition into my next bit? I made a new outro song that I'll be transitioning into soon for the channel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little intermission right here, so I can puff on my vape and have a sup of coffee. I'm going to play that new little outro song for you lot. It's only about a minute long, and you can let me know what you think of it. And I will tell you now, it's not as good as my original, but it's hard to top that. That was a flash in the pan is what that was. That was complete luck that one turned out as fucked up as it did, and fucked up in a great way. But anyway, I'll let that play, and I'll join you back in about a minute. I hope you lot enjoyed that. I was quite happy with how it turned out. Again, I don't feel like it's as good as my original, but my normal outro music for my channel, my main videos. It's been there so long that I just feel like it needs a change. And I also have somebody working on a little bit of an outro animation as well, but to kind of go along with that, but that's still in the works yet. But yeah, I like to change things up every now and again. I don't like things feeling too stale. So that's why I transitioned to that. What I'm going to do now, actually, well, I have you a lot for those of you who are still here. For those of you who like to watch the full episode, I'll tip my little hat to you there, guys. Thanks very much. What I'm going to do is, I've got some like ambient background music I'm going to just slot in about here while I'm talking. I want to see what you guys think, because I've listened to a few podcasts, and some podcasters to use music in the background, and I think if they find the right song and the right rhythm, it works very nicely. It kind of fills the ambient air. It's very nice to listen to. It's almost calming, which is great. And I've commissioned a couple of like chill steps, like lo-fi songs, just to play in the background, because I think they'd kind of suit my talking. But I'll play them now, see what you guys think. You can let me know in the comments. I'll probably let them kind of play or loop out to the end of this podcast for whatever's left in it. And you guys can tell me what you think down below. Do you like the background music, or do you prefer it silent so you can play your own music over it in the background? I don't know. Let me know what you think. But another thing I wanted to talk about was stuff to do with the channel, I suppose, seeing as that's why most of you guys are here, because you found me through my channel. I'll make mention of some other things that I know I talked about it earlier on, but just to kind of delve a bit in. One thing I'm struggling a lot recently with my channel is the lockdown. Been locked away in my house all the time, and it's not for ideas. I'm not short on video ideas. I have a list of video ideas. People often ask me, or make mention whether I'm running out of ideas. I'm not running out of ideas. I have so many videos I've yet to do. I have a list of maybe about 20 ideas ahead of stuff I want to do, and I kind of pick from those what I'm going to be working on next as I go, whatever I'm in the mood for. But one thing I'm really struggling with lately with the lockdown is the ability to develop a story, kind of come up with kind of jokes and humor and how to kind of structure the video. I'm struggling with that because I'm not getting out of the house. I'm not interacting. I'm not kind of going on new adventures. I'm not getting new experiences. Every day is the same, staring at the same fucking four walls day in, day out. And as an introvert, I'd love that, but I'm not getting stimulated mentally in the way that I normally would. So it's hard to kind of come up with fresh takes and different perspectives and different angles for stories, and as I'm developing them, there's different things that will happen in your life that you think would be completely unrelated to a story you're doing, but whatever you're doing, an activity at a time could trigger something, or a thought might pop into your head while you're like going for a walk in a forest, or you're staying a night with your missus in a hotel, or you're going away for a day. When you're doing all that activities, you're getting so much mental stimulus coming in left, right and centre. You're experiencing a new event, so it's kind of keeping your brain really active and fresh, and you've all these new kind of fresh perspectives on things. But when you're sitting there day in, day out, staring at wall A, B, C and D and the ceiling and the floor, it's so fucking hard sometimes to sit there and just write and keep your flow up, kind of keep new stream of ideas coming in. And that's one thing that's hit me massively with the video, the Just About Accurate Guide to Ireland, the one I'm working on now. I think it's the fourth one, because I was able to sit down. I thought I had loads of ideas, but I was able to sit down. I wrote half of that script in about a day, give or take, and I have the intro done. I was very happy with the intro. I did a section on the difference between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. I was very happy with how that turned out. I did a section on like pub etiquette, just different things about like tongue-in-cheek takes on how like the top of the bar is always fucking drowned wet. It doesn't matter what time of the day or when you go in, you put your elbows down on that bar, your sleeves are drowned. Tongue-in-cheek takes and all that. But the second I had the bar bit done, my brain just went nothing. I could not for the life of me. I sat there for 3 hours staring at the fucking wall. I just could not. Now I had a list of kind of potential things to cover, so I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to make mention of like the ploughing championships and stuff like that, but I couldn't find anything that I could expand upon enough that I was happy with, that would be good enough for the video, because the main priority is to make sure the video is fucking good first and foremost. I don't want to stick filler in there. I don't want to be one of those people that's just hashing them out, and especially because they're my most successful videos by a good margin. I don't want to publish a video and it feel like I'm only doing it for the sake of views, or I want the video to be of a quality I'm very proud of, and it's not being forced out. But yeah, I'm really struggling with the second half of the script. So what I've done is I've moved on to another script. I moved on to Living with the Boys Part 3. It's a story called The Head Casey. I've actually managed to write that whole thing and I have it written now. I'm in the middle of working on it. And the reason why I was able to get through that so quickly is because it's more of a story orientated one. I'm pulling from memory. I don't need to be as creative with that. And and I already had the outline written months ago. So I kind of had a good footnote of where the best jokes were and stuff like that, of how to structure it. But even though I've had that Irish video in the works for well over like a month and a half now at this stage, I'm still just absolutely brain farting every time I need to try write it more. And it's a bit, it gets you down a bit because, like, you know, I normally wouldn't struggle to come up with funny ideas and stuff like that. And I honestly feel like it's just the lockdown, just been in the house all day non-stop. I'm just not getting the same stimulus. I'm not getting the same interactions in my day-to-day life that would trigger ideas and the creative flow and stuff. I'm just not getting that anymore. So it's a tough one. I know I will eventually, you know, finish it off and stuff, but yeah, right now that's kind of what I'm struggling with the channel wise. And one thing I did invest in because I thought it might help, I invested in a VR headset because I thought maybe if I get a VR headset, I'll feel like I'll be stepping outside of the house in a weird way. I would have gotten one a long time ago, but I really wanted to save because I'm a big tech head, so I wanted the best of the best fucking VR kit had to offer, which was the Valve Index. I'd saved up for a while and I purchased one of them and it was fucking fantastic for 3 days, and then it shat itself. It stopped working. Just fucking typical. I just got a taste. I like a fucking junkie. I just got a little bit and the hook was in and I wanted more, but it just fucking broke. Dealing with Steam has been a bit of a pain in the arse because I spent a week with them troubleshooting. After about 4 or 5 days of troubleshooting with my PC, I couldn't figure out what it was, and then I tried it in somebody else's PC, and sure enough the issue was still there. So I was like, okay, it's not my PC. It got to 2 weeks over and back with Valve in total before they agreed to replace it. I sent it back to them. They received it last week and I've heard nothing since, which is really fucking annoying. Because it's a VR kit cost €1,000 fucking euro. This VR kit, it's a really expensive piece of gear, and you'd think with that kind of fucking expensive piece of kit, they'd fucking hurry the fuck up about sorting it out for you. Especially when it only lasts 3 fucking days, you know. I hear they sometimes do like advanced replacements where they'll send you the replacement and then ask you to send that one back. But that's not something they offered me. So, and you know, I didn't want to be that guy who's like, you know, do you know who I am? I'm fucking Sergeant Ducky, cunt. Because it's such a first world problem, I know, but I'm just sitting here fucking itching to play it again because I just want to be in a different world. And it really worked. Like for the 3 days I was using it, was fucking fantastic. I put it on and it was fucking amazing. It's like you're literally stepping outside your own house. It's so like ridiculously real. I'll probably do it. There was a game that I was kind of mad to play. I might do it a stream, or maybe I'll even just do a video for my second channel, Ducky's Room, or this channel, depending where you're listening to this. It's a job simulator, and in that game they have a retail. So basically, you're working in retail. It's a retail simulator. So I might do a video on that once I get my headset back, and let me know what you guys think. I don't know if it'd be good to stream with that because it's, you know, you're inside a headset. I don't think you can interact with the chat box. Unless there's ways around that. There probably is, but we'll see, yeah. So I was thinking of maybe like as some sort of homage to my retail past, I think it'd be quite funny to actually go back to retail in VR and just, you know, remember what I got away from in a way. I was actually in Tesco's the other day, and since I've left retail, I've never stopped to think about how happy I am to not be in retail anymore. When I was working in retail, I was also doing YouTube on the side, so I was working from like fucking 9 to 5 every day, or 9 to 6, whatever it was, and then I'd get home and work on videos for 4 or 5 hours, and you know, for the majority of my week was taken up with retail and making videos. So when I left retail, I just started focusing wholly on videos, and you know, kind of I used that extra time I got from retail to kind of improve the quality of my videos, or just take a little bit more me time during the week. But I never kind of stopped to think about how lucky I am, how fucking, you know, how thankful I am that I put in all the work in the YouTube channel over the years to kind of land me where I am today. I never stopped to think about that. When I was in Tesco the other day, Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You was playing over the Tannoy, the music system. And I just got this wave of fucking anxiety just hit me, just from like, you know, just this echo of my past coming through, my retail past haunting me. And I just, like, it just felt like I was going into work at Christmas time, and you hear that Christmas music, and they've only like 10 fucking songs at Christmas, and 10 major songs, and just play them on repeat. And when you're working in retail, shit grinds you the fuck down. Like 10 songs on repeat doesn't sound too bad until you have to listen to all 10 of them on repeat for fucking 9 hours straight. But that anxiety just hit me massively when I heard that song, and I was like, oh my god, just being in a retail setting and fucking stupid cunt Mariah Carey's voice. But yeah, that hit me, and then just this wave of fucking relief came over me after that. I was like, oh my God, I don't actually have to go into work. That song is not playing for me anymore. And that was the first time since I left my job like nigh on a year ago that I've truly been thankful not to be in fucking retail anymore. And I was just so fucking happy. So yeah, for all of you retail workers out there having to listen to that shit this year, I fucking feel for you, because that is awful. Listen to it any year. Fucking Christmas for retail is the worst ever. First of all, it's Christmas. Nobody's super happy at Christmas. Christmas is always associated with death. You know, there's always somebody in the family who's died or who will die or is currently fucking dying at Christmas. They always do it at Christmas. I don't know what it is. When I'm dying, I'm going to do it during the summer, just not to annoy people if I can. But you have that, and then it's super fucking busy. So you're not going to be able to get a chance to breathe. You're just going to be constantly serving people over and over and over and over again. And then you're going to get increased hours because they need more staff, because again, it's so busy. So you're going to be there longer, serving more, and just becoming progressively more and more miserable. You can't have a Christmas break or Christmas party because somebody's got to look after the shop the next day, or you know, the next morning or whatever. There's no way to work around them for the most part if you're working a normal shop setting. And you get no time to do your own Christmas shopping, to buy fucking shopping or to buy presents for, you know, people you actually give a fuck about. Not that you have enough money for it anyway, because nowadays most people in retail are paid like bi-weekly or monthly, so they wouldn't see the Christmas wage until after Christmas, which is not ideal, you know, and there's no such thing as a fucking Christmas bonus anymore. But yeah, so my heart bleeds for anybody working in retail this year or any Christmas year. God, I've done so many of them. I've worked like 13 odd Christmases myself, so I've done my time, and I'm so glad to see the back of it. So awful. So yeah, fucking hats off to you guys. Still struggling out there. If I'm ever being served by anybody behind the counter, I make it my mission to not say anything to you guys, and you know, I won't say Happy Christmas or anything. You'll just get a please and a thanks, and I'll get the fuck out of your way, because I know that's the best fucking thing you or me or anybody else could do for a retail worker at Christmas. So I think I'm going to wrap this podcast up. I've babbled for long enough. I feel like I've talked absolute fucking effluent for the last 45 odd minutes. I don't know, whatever I cut this down to. I feel like I have, but you know, hopefully you guys will find some value in my ramblings, and you enjoy it. I was going to say my next podcast guest, if you guys want to keep an eye out for that, is with a good friend of mine, Dara, who's a teacher, but more importantly, he's a magician, and a very good one at that. You know, one to be respected. Is a very talented magician. I'll leave his channel link in the description of this on YouTube if you want to go take an advanced look at him. Because he actually has a YouTube channel. He does that while he's teaching, and he shows some of his magic tricks and whatnot. I'm not 100% sure if he shows how-tos, but I think he might do. But you know, very talented, worth checking out. I'm going to have him on the next podcast, and we're going to talk about all things magic and maybe a bit of teaching as well. But it should make for a very good, very interesting podcast for you lot. So again, if you want to check him out, his link will be in the description. Go check him out, and you can come back here and maybe post a question if you do have one for him. I'll be recording that over the next couple of days. I look forward to talking to you guys then. Thanks very much everybody for tuning in and having a listen to this little one-on-one Big D session. And I will catch you lads and ladies in the next one.